week 9?
No martinis.
Jim, pointers for week 9.
Yep. Martinis.
Zach, pointers for week 9.
Slow and steady wins the race.
KP, pointers for week 9. Nothing.
We're on a mission today to take down everyone's stack.
It's week 9. We're here at Luna's having a drink, me and Caitlin. This week is going to be intense. I'm gonna split the leaderboard up into a few different groups with 4 weeks left. The top 5 people on the leaderboard, I'm naming the super hopefuls. People like Jeff, Medio, Bob Westergaard. All of those people are super hopeful to win the main event seat. There's a huge group under that from 6th to 19th that I consider the hopefuls. If things work out in their favor, if they final table maybe 3 or 4 out of the last 4 tournaments, they have a good chance, especially if the super hopefuls don't do well. That's people like me, Nolan, Marco, Josh, Tony D. From 20th to 24th, I'm considering that the Glimmer of Hopers. They have a glimmer of hope left in this league. They need to probably at least win 1 tournament out of the next 4 and final table every week. That's people like Tom, Jeremy, and Matt. They have a glimmer of hope left in this league. And under that, unfortunately, from 25th to 37th place, I'm calling that the no-hopers. They have no hope left in this league to win a seat. They're not necessarily bad players. The cards didn't run in their way this year. Better luck next year to the no-hopers. I'm a hoper. I have hope, but I'm not super hopeful. So the goal today is to final table, shoot up a couple places, and become a super hopeful. If we don't do well today, we're falling into the glimmer of hope or even the no-hopers. It's make or break today. This is where champions are made. 30,000 chips, 1.1 million chips in play. Let's get it. In week 5, I showed you around Luna's, and it was bare. We weren't open yet for the season. We're finally open now. Let me show you how it looks.
I can't hide, not ready to die. This feeling I can't do it wrong to get right. I'm just trying to survive. Cross out my mind, stuck here on fire. I'm tired of trying, not much I can't hide.
It's Friday, July 5th, 2019, day 1C of the main event of the World Series of Poker. $10,000 buy-in.
Okay, so it isn't 2019 and we're not playing the main event yet, but it is poker time. Let's take you to those seating assignments. Shout out the trooper. This week, we're with Zach, John, Josue, Jeremy, Tom, Jim L, Dave P, and Tim. We're with a few no-hopers. We got to capitalize on that. Let's go. In the first level of the day, I pick up ace-queen under the gun +1. I raise to 525, and it folds around a Jim L in the small blind, who calls. Dave P in the big blind comes along as well, and we are 3 ways to the King 10-3 all-club flop. This is a solid flop for my hand. And after the other players check to me, I c-bet 550 in position. Jim snap folds, and Dave floats another street. We see the queen of diamonds on the turn, and after he checks to me, I slow down and check. I have a nut flush draw, but really only have second pair top kicker at the moment. I'm fine with checking here. The river is our gin card, the 7 of clubs. He checks, and now I need to figure out how much I can get from him. I size on the bigger side. If he has a flush, my bet may look like I'm trying to represent having a flush, and not actually having one. He doesn't bite, and we take our first hand down with the nuts. A level later, with blinds at 150, 300, we lose a hand with pocket 7s after we limp in and brick the flop. I'm only telling you this because in a home game with my buddies years ago at my friend Kevin's house, we made up what we thought was a catchy phrase for pocket 7s. We were an interesting group of guys, and for some reason, started to call my buddy Kevin, Kenvin. And one night, after a few beers, Kevin won a hand with pocket 7s. And we proclaimed that, Senvins for Kenvin. I can't believe I haven't been using that term my whole vlog, but we will be doing that now. Gotta keep the home game jokes alive, right? For real though, we had a good game going over there in high school. Shout out to my boy Kenvin. Jeremy, level 2 chip leader, 55,500. Bet over set, how's it feel? It hurts. With blinds at 200, 400, I pick up king 4 off and spice it up to 1,100 when it folds to me in the cutoff. It folds around, and we pretend to have a premium hand by showing the table the King of Hearts only. That's right, gentlemen. I will earn your respect, even if I'm actually lying to you. A few hands later, I pick up Jack 3 of spades, and when it folds to me in the low jack, I pop it up to 1100 again. It folds around, and this is why everyone should play poker. It's super easy. I just raised 3x with trash 2 hands in a row and got it through. Poker's so easy, bro. Just kidding. It's actually very tough. Don't try what I just did at home, kids. First break, we're coming back to 250, 500 blinds in a few minutes. I have about 28,000 chips. I'm not really sure what anyone else has. Chips are flying on my table. You can argue that you should be playing defensively, especially if you're a super hopeful or a hopeful. I'm not trying to make any unconventional moves, just trying to play my cards and last as long as I can. There are a bunch of no-hopers at my table that are playing a little unconventionally. Let's take it back to the action. It's gonna get crazy. After break, with blinds at 250, 500, I pick up a couple of ladies in middle position.
Hello, ladies.
I limp to activate my sneakiness. As I've said, chips are flying here, so I'm attempting to limp 3-bet. Zach calls in the low jack, Josue calls in the cutoff, Tom completes in the small blind, and Jim checks his option in the big blind. My plan didn't work, so maybe ding damn it instead of ding dong? 5 of us see the King Jack 7 2-heart flop, and all 5 of us check. That's a good sign, I hope. Maybe no one has a king. The turn is the 3 of spades. Tom checks, Jim mucks, I check, Zach makes it 1300. Josue and Tom fold, and now I have a decision. Zach checked the flop 5-way and now bet the turn. He's a no-hoper, so I'm not sure why he would opt to slow play. With that in mind, I make the call. The river is another brick, the 2 of spades. I check and he bets 1700. Is this the face of a man who has a king? Or did he decide to start bluffing on the turn because no one showed strength on the flop? I decide to calm down and we win a nice pot. Props to Zach for putting me in a tough spot. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Angel.
Thanks to Eric. I don't know if he's trying to intoxicate me, but I don't know how I feel about these people. Tony's always putting bounties on me. Whoever knocks me out gets a chicken parm. Last week he upped it to veal parm. Whoever knocks me out, they get fed. They're targeting me. I don't know if I like that or not. When they buy me drinks, I suppose that's okay. After the first few sips of my martini, I'm in the small blind at 250, 500 with 2 red 4s. John limps under the gun, and Josue makes it 1200 under the gun plus 1. Tom in middle position comes along, and when it folds to me, I come in as well. Zach folds his big blind, and John comes along under the gun. We go 4 ways to a flop of queen 4-7 rainbow. Bang! I casually check, hoping Josue will c-bet, and that's exactly what he does. I call and we go heads up to the 5 of diamonds turn. Still safe for my monster hand, but Josue's a no-hoper, and he's capable of having any 2 cards. He checks back and we see a brutal 8 of spades on the river. Any 6 makes a straight now. I just can't bet. I check again and Josue tosses out a bet of 3,500. I immediately call and tell him a straight is good. He mucks and we score some chips from a no-hoper. Maybe that's the game plan. Milk the no-hopers, so we have ammo to take on the super hopefuls and fellow hopefuls. A few hands later, I pick up multicolored 6s in the 600 big blind. Zach limps under the gun, and Josue min raises to 1200. Tim comes in the small blind, I call, and Zach calls as well. We go 4 ways to a flop of the 3 of diamonds, the 2 of spades, and the 5 of hearts. Tim checks, and I donk lead for 4,000. It's a pretty good flop. Zach folds, and I try to talk Josue out of a call, but he calls anyway. Tim folds in the small blind, and we go heads up to the Queen of Hearts turn. I donk lead 4,000 again, and he calls. Dave deals the beautiful 6 of spades on the river. We make a set against Josue again. Who do you think you are? I check because Josue only needs a 4 for a straight now. He checks and shows down 2 red 10s. And wow, we just got super lucky. Let's go. Wow. Woo! Dave's got a casual shove. It's only 20K at 600 big blind. Nice shove, Dave.
A few minutes later.
We take you back to Dave's next shove, which is the next hand. I fold. I fold.
Queens, I know it.
2 hands in a row.
I told you you had it back to back.
All right, here we go.
I knew it was coming. Even a hit set. There it is.
Good game, Dave. Good game. I guess the ladies love me and the ladies just don't love Dave. That's okay. We're the ones stacking chips. Let's go. With blinds at 400, 800, I pick up a couple of jiggities in late position. It folds to me and I make it 20-25. John on the button calls and Josue comes in the small blind. Jeremy folds his big blind and we go through ways to the flop of 10-3-4 rainbow. Josue checks and I c-bet 7,000. John folds and Josue goes into the tank. I try to use some reverse psychology on him because I'm drooling after flopping an overpair to the board and I just really want him to call.
Josue, don't crush my dreams. We'll go to dinner break. Have a good dinner.
My tactics don't work and we go to dinner break.
Dinner break chip counts, episode 9.
My chip's so low the crabs can't even find me.
I have 67,300, which I believe is the most I've had on dinner break this year.
49,150.
47.3. 10,000. 55,000. 18.
3,100. 31,000.
48.8.
Yo, props to Josue. I keep flopping sets against him, and how does he have 48,800 on dinner break? Good for him.
No good. Like 5 chips left.
I had 31.5.
72.
30.
About 25,000.
Starting stack.
48.
33,500. 27,600.
I'm out. 30,500.
65.
41.5.
25 grand.
50,000. Got 60,000.
18K.
17.9. 32.5.
I think there's 4 people out. It's 2 no hopers and 2 Glimmer of Hopers who now have no hope. So the goal is to get the people that are super hopeful or the hopefuls out. And we haven't done that. At least we have chips. We're on dinner break. I believe we're second in chips. We're in a good position, but we really need to get those super hopefuls or those hopefuls out. We keep the Glimmer of Hopes and the non-hopefuls in for as long as we can.
2,000 years later.
After dinner break, we pick up my favorite hand, Jack 10 suited. I'm in the big blind and it folds around to Tim in the small blind who limps. He's kind of short, so I check my option with the intention of taking the rest of his chips on later streets. We see a flop of Jack 9 deuce with 2 clubs. He bets 2,400 and I put him to a decision for all of his chips. I tell him I have a monster, and like everyone else in this league, he doesn't believe me. He calls and turns over a bigger flush draw than mine. King 8 of clubs. Wow. The board runs out 5 of diamonds and a jack on the river, and I get to scoop the pot with my favorite hand and also get Tim's knockout chip. See you next week, Tim. First of all, Jim, what the hell were you thinking here? This hand has kept me up at night for the past week, just haunting me. I limp ace 6 of diamonds under the gun, Josue limps in the hijack, and Jim makes it 5K on the button. I call and Josue calls as well. I have a good amount of chips at the moment. I can afford to see a flop here. When the flop comes 6-9 ace with 2 clubs, I flop a monster but decide to check to Josue and the razor. Spoiler alert, big mistake. Josue and Jim checks back and we see a 2 of hearts on the turn. Time to put the pressure on. I lead 12,200. Josue folds and Jim snaps it off. Is he slow playing pocket 9s? Did he turn a set of deuces? Is he being a degenerate with a flush draw? The river comes the 3 of clubs, but I'm not even scared. I am confused. I check to see what he does. This pot's big enough for my 2 pair versus a solid player like Jim. But if he puts in a bet, I'm probably calling. He does bet 15,000, and I snap it off. He shows me the nut flush. Bro, how?
Regular occurrence around here. I lose a bunch of chips and everyone's happy. Everyone's laughing, couple tables over. Jim, I know you watch these videos. I should have won that hand. Great playing with you, sir.
I try to calm down, but that's not easy when I just lost half my stack and then pick up pocket 10s in the small blind. Especially when John shoves 28,200 chips in under the gun. It folds to me and I fold too. 10s are great, but against an under the gun shove, they don't look great anymore. It smells like ace king, And that's what it was. The very next hand, with blinds at 800, 1600, I mix it up when it folds to me and raise to 3500 with queen 9 on the button. Zach folds and John shoves it in for 2 straight hands. I let it go and my tilt continues. It doesn't make it any better that I have to sit across from Jim, who has all my pink 5K chips. I ask John to show the camera again, but the cards are already in the muck. The very next hand, I pick up red aces in the cutoff. It folds to me and I shove it in. The table knows I'm tilted, and I did just shove on John's small blind. You know, the guy that just shoved the last 2 hands. I thought this would be the perfect time to shove, especially with aces. But John folds his small blind, and Mr. Ultra Loose Josue somehow folds his big blind. Hey, at least we won the hand. A few hands later, we break down from 4 tables to 3 and get moved. There's 27 players left. I have 33,500 chips at 2K big blind. The average stack's only 21 bigs as well. We're in the danger zone. It's time to double up or shut up. With blinds now at 1,500 3K with the 3K big blind ante, these blinds are ripping through my stack. I pick up ace king, shove it in, and get it through. This time in the tournament is crucial. People are busting, stacks are shallow, and I have to fight to survive. A few hands after this one, we already break down from 3 tables to 2. It's gonna go quick now. It's time to double or drive home.
We're breaking down from 3 tables to 2, back in our chair. We have 27,600 chips and we're on the button. Is my table breaking? Oh, we're on the button and my table's breaking. No. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, Jim's still in, but we're gonna get him.
In desperation, I shove my last 7 big blinds in with ace-8 of hearts in early position at 4K big blind. It folds around to Medio in the big blind, who does have me easily covered. After tanking for a while and complaining that I shouldn't be shoving on his big blind without harsh repercussions, he does decide on a call. This is a must-win for me. If I lose this, I become a Glimmer of Hoper. It's not a must-win for him. He is still super hopeful to win this league, no matter the outcome of this hand. It surprises me that he would put his chips at risk. But hey, that's just my opinion. He turns over ace queen of diamonds. The board comes 7, 5, 3, jack, deuce. I'm knocked out in 16th place by a meatball, and my hopes and dreams to satellite into the world's best poker tournament for a fraction of the price are pretty much dead. Nice hand, Medio.
6.5 hours later.